always underestimated was the strength, the physical athleticism of Brazilian players.
It's not all flair.
No. There's real, speed, athleticism, and we definitely learned this playing at junior level with not only Brazil but other South American teams, where that wasn't something we were quite as aware of maybe 10 years ago with our national teams.
How do you see the Brazilian style nowadays? And I think we've never had so many Brazilians playing in the Premier League.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of Brazilians playing across Europe. When I look at the number of Champions League minutes for Brazilian players, it's pretty close to English players, French, Germans. So, a lot of players now here. I think that's the difference. We didn't know the players then. We only saw the Brazilian players in a World Cup or...
Uma das entrevistas mais legais dos últimos tempos acabou de sair. O técnico da Inglaterra, Southgate, deu uma entrevista muito legal para a mídia brasileira, onde falou sobre a qualidade dos jogadores da seleção brasileira de Dorival Júnior e também elogiou o técnico da Amarelinha. Ele disse que os jogadores brasileiros são muito mais do que apenas habilidosos. Falou sobre o amistoso contra o Brasil e sobre a atuação do garoto Endrick naquele jogo, além de muitos outros temas. Vamos conferir.
We used to think that we had the bragging rights of the most skillful players in the planet, but it seems that you guys are producing more and more and more of them throughout the years. Is this room, is this training ground maybe perhaps the reason?
Well, I mean, I still think you have some amazing players, as we saw in March, but we're definitely producing better technical players. Futsal isn't as big as it would be for you, but some of our players play. Some of our players would play perhaps in when they're growing up in outside in small courts, cages.
The five-a-side.
Yeah. So that way of just play, kids playing and developing skill, strength, is certainly something that some of our young players have experienced. And then youth development in our country there's been a lot of change in how clubs develop players. The level of coaching has improved a lot, and diversity of our team as well, our country, has changed the profile of some of our team as well. So yeah, lots of things have gone on. Not all of it in here, but also with the national teams, our junior teams having success at junior level has helped give confidence to our players, I think.
You have worked with different age groups of players throughout your career. Is it hard to find, is it a fine line between giving freedom and giving tactical responsibilities for young players?
Yeah, I think a team needs a framework, and it allows the individual talent to come out. So
you just mentioned the tactical richness in the Premier League now with the managers, of course, and I imagine you have two sides of it, because in one side the inspirations are here, Guardiola, Klopp, you name it, but on the other side the bar is so high that the club fans expect the same in the national team level.
Yeah. Well, I think there's two parts. One is, of course, the players every day are working with elite managers, so if they think that what we're delivering isn't at a high level, they would, they'd be quick to tell everybody, I'm sure. The second part is, of course, as a national team, it's impossible to be as cohesive as a club team. You have 3 or 4 days, then you play. With a club team, you're working for 300 days probably in a year, and the relationships between players on the pitch form. So we're trying to bring maybe a starting team from, could be 6, 7 different clubs, and you're trying to get them away from the way, not all the things they do with their club, but we have to have a clear way of playing and a clear understanding. and that's complicated. So the players have to unlearn and relearn quickly. So it will look different to club level. That's, I think, inevitable for any national team. But we try to set the team in a way that the players are in the areas of the pitch with the freedom to do the things they do well within the structure that we need to have.
The clear way of playing, the extreme talent is palpable in all areas of the pitch. But in my point of view, the offensive side is just incredible. Is it hard to find the correct balance between, unleashing that side and obviously not creating chaos, but having a defensive, cohesive side as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the quarterfinals of the Champions League recent games, for example, there were a lot of goals scored, sometimes because of brilliant attacking play, sometimes because of defensive disorganisation. So the best teams have both of those things in the right measure. We definitely have more options in an attacking sense than we've had in the 8 years that we've been taking the team. There's no question about that. It's then, okay, are we defensively strong enough to, what's the balance of numbers to lend into the attack, what's the profile of the team? Also, it's not just picking who you think are your best players, it has to be the best team as well. But we're really happy to have the offensive options that we have. As you said, our offensive options are a match for most teams in world football. We're not the only team. I think in the Euros, France, Portugal, for example, would have very exciting attacking players. When we played a front three of Rafinha, Rodrigo, Vinicius, that was pretty good as well. So lots of countries have good players. Sometimes I think we only think about ours, but I think we always have to bear in mind other countries are very strong as well.
So going back to this friendly match against Brazil in March, were you surprised with the way Brazil played at Wembley? Was it harder to face a debutant manager?
Yeah. Of course, all of the matches that we watched in preparation, we knew the tactical element of the game would be different. So we probably thought that the front three would be the front three, but where would they play? Which exact roles would they play? How would the team play? That was less clear. So not as easy a game to prepare for, but actually it was a good challenge for us because we had to work on our principles. We had a lot of changes with our team as well, and it was a great game for us to learn about our players before the summer and to learn about our game and what worked well and what didn't work so well.
You have mentioned before how the 1982 Brazil caught your attention growing up. How do you see the Brazilian style nowadays? And I think we've never had so many Brazilians playing in the Premier League. Yeah. I mean, a lot of Brazilians playing across Europe. When I look at the number of Champions League minutes for Brazilian players, it's pretty close to English players, French, Germans. So, a lot of players now here. I think that's the difference. We didn't know the players then. We only saw the Brazilian players in a World Cup or every 4 years.
Yeah, or of course a few playing in Italy, but we didn't see Italian football in England. So now we already know the individual players. We have a better understanding of the style. You know that actually I think the thing that was always underestimated was the strength, the physical athleticism of Brazilian players.
It's not all flair.
No. There's real, speed, athleticism, and we definitely learned this playing at junior level with not only Brazil but other South American teams where that wasn't something we were quite as aware of maybe 10 years ago with our national teams.
Were you surprised with Endrick? I imagine you had heard about him beforehand, but he's not left Brazil yet, and he showed a lot of character in that match.
Yeah, no, we weren't surprised. We knew about the player, so and we made poor mistakes to allow the opportunities, but he's obviously another super young player who looks like he'll have a big future. Yeah.
Looking ahead to the Euros, the last one escaped on penalties, and you know very well what your players that missed the penalties lived. You had the experience at Wembley as well. Is it a career-changing experience, and how could you help them after that?
Yeah, the only way to help was to support, was to try to frame the right way to take the experience forward. And of course, everybody's life after that goes in different directions. You know, if you look at the three players, their careers are all completely different since then. Not, in my opinion, not because of what happened that night. Lots of other factors, but definitely from my own experience, that was something that I had to come back from and had to use as a tool to learn and improve. And maybe it was different then because I was the only one, and it was a time where at that stage we didn't have so many penalty shootouts. Unfortunately, England have failed a lot of those.
But no social media, which is also different, isn't it? Social media intensifies, doesn't it? No
question. So look, for me, we didn't lose that game because of the penalties. We had the chances to win the game in 120 minutes, and we didn't do that. So that's the bit I look back on. I don't look at the penalties and think, okay, that's why we lost. Of course, one penalty the other way changes everybody's lives, but I think for when I'm looking at those players, I only think about them as being good players, as players who should be looking forward to what's next, not thinking about that moment at all.
Is the fact that there is a pressure for England to win it an evidence of how your work developed the team well?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there was always pressure with England, but not always realistic expectation. You know, we've been to tournaments where we weren't ranked highly in the world, and still the public expect to win. That's not realistic. Now we've won enough big matches over a long period of time and been to semi-finals and finals that to win doesn't bring more pressure for the team, because the team know they're close. Mm-hmm. So that expectation is good. We want the public to be excited about the team. Of course, we have to deliver that, but that's what big football matches are about, big jobs are about. So the nice thing for us is we know we can do it. We've been so close that we know it's possible to go one more step. What you have to do is deliver that during that month. You have to play well during that month and deliver the big moments at the big times.
É sempre legal ver grandes figuras do futebol de outros países falarem sobre a nossa seleção. Ainda somos muito respeitados e temidos, apesar de não estarmos na melhor fase. E você? Acha que nossa seleção tem qualidade suficiente para ser campeã da Copa América e depois da Copa do Mundo? Deixe sua opinião nos comentários. Este foi mais um vídeo do canal SobreFut. Se você gostou e quer ver mais vídeos como este, inscreva-se no canal e ative o sininho das notificações, e também deixe o like no vídeo e compartilhe com seus amigos. Até o próximo!